Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this Simpsons Treehouse of Horror review video as part of my September series. Today, we're going to take a look at Treehouse of Horror episode number 9 from season 10 of The Simpsons, overall episode 207, number AABF01 for all you stat nerds. So, yeah, Simpsons Halloween special number 9. It aired on October 25th, 1998, and it was directed by Stephen Dean Moore. Um, so let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the first segment. So the first segment is entitled "Hell to Pay," which actually I didn't realize until I watched this time. That's a pretty good double entendre there, because it's about it's about Homer getting it to pay, but it's also there's hell to pay. So I don't know why I never thought about that before, but it's spelled like to pay the hairpiece. But anyway, this is a takeoff on Hell to Pay from Amazing Stories, an episode of that, the show from the 80s, if any of you are familiar with that. Um, this was written by Dominic Carey. So basically, Hell to Pay is an episode about, um, oh, I forget the bad guy's name. Um, he's like the criminal of Springfield, but he goes to the Quickie Mart and he's purchasing a comb for his hair and um, the hell was the police end up coming and I think Apu turns them in, and so he threatens revenge on Apu and any of the other witnesses, Apu obviously, and Mo the bartender, Mo Sislak, and then Bart is in the corner hiding. So as he's being dragged away from the cops, he's promising revenge he's going to kill all three of them basically, but that he gets the electric chair. um, so that's that. And then Homer gets a phone call to find out that he's finally got a donor for what we don't know, but it turns out to be the hairpiece of this guy. I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. Um, the guy in the show, what his name is. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's really not. Um, he's the one that'll say, like he says, "Bye, Chicorino," or "You are so dead, little dude." Oh, I can't think of his name. But anyway, Homer gets his hairpiece transplanted into his head, and the hairpiece kind of grows into his brain, and at times, he ends up becoming this guy. For revenge, he goes after, so he kills Apu, he kills Mo the bartender, and then, of course, he goes after Bart. So he has to try to fight between Homer and this guy. Um, Overall, it's a pretty decent segment of this Treehouse of Horror. I think Hell to Pay. There's some good jokes in it, some good comedy stuff going on here. It's not obviously not scary or anything, but I think it's a pretty decent segment, and I enjoy it. The second segment we get is the Terror of Tiny Toon. This is clearly a take on the movie Stay Tuned from the early '90s with John Ritter. Um, which I actually remember that movie. I'm probably the only one that's seen it. I never hear anything about it. This was written by Larry Doyle. This is basically about Barton Lee. So it's kind of their episode where the remote batteries they end up the Marge leaves with Maggie. She doesn't want the kids to watch Itchy and Scratchy, so she takes the batteries out of the remote, and they end up substituting some piece of plutonium or something that they shove into the back of the remote, and they end up going to the TV basically in an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, and then Homer's kind of on the other side, twitching the channels and hitting the buttons and stuff, and it's got some decent jokes to it. I don't know how effective of a Treehouse of Horror segment it is for me, but it's not the worst one I've ever seen, but I can't say that it's one of the best either. Um, it's kind of okay. Again, just like a lot of the last few Treehouse of Horror episodes, it's okay, but definitely not my favorite, even in this episode. So they have to try to get back out of the TV. Obviously, they need Homer's help to do it, and you can kind of guess where it goes from there. And then our final segment of this Simpsons Halloween special is Starship Hoopers. This was written by David X. Cohen, and this is the episode, of course, where they find out that Marge had an intergalactic affair, if you will, against her will. Kane and Kodos came down, abducted her, and used some kind of ray gun on her to impregnate her, and Maggie was the result. Much to Homer's surprise, he didn't know, but because Maggie's starting to get her first tooth, and it's like a sharp alien tooth, and so this episode's really out there. And Marge explains the whole story to Homer, and they end up, they're trying to figure out who's the real father of Maggie, and it ends up on the Jerry Springer show. Again, this is at the point of The Simpsons where things were really any groundedness that this show had was really left the station, if you will. This is actually not one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, there's some good jokes in it, even related to the Jerry Springer stuff. But it's just, to me, it's starting to really get away from what made The Simpsons so classic the first 7 or 8 years. I just don't think it's that good of a Halloween special segment, to be honest with you. So, of course, they have to get Kane and Kodos their normal appearance that they have every year in this. And that's kind of growing tired for me too at this point. So, as far as ranking the three segments go, I think that Hell to Pay is definitely the best one for me of this. Then I would probably say The Terror of Tiny Toon, even though that one's not that great. And then Starship Hoopers, which I don't know if that's considered to be like a one of the better segments by a lot of people. I don't really know how people view that. I can't even say it's overrated because, like I said, I don't know how people view that one. It really doesn't do much for me as a Simpsons Halloween segment, to be honest with you. I thought it was just kind of there's some decent jokes, like I said, but the writing's not great, and the conclusion of it's not great, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I would rank them. As I said, at this point in the series, the show is really starting to get off the rails a bit, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, that's my review for Simpsons Halloween Special number 9 from season 10 of the overall Simpsons TV show from the '90s. Comment down below if you like this episode more than I do. Your ranking of these three segments. Am I being too hard or not hard enough on them? Be sure to like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming review videos for this series. And be sure to subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss any of my great horror content. We're only a week away from my 31 Days of Halloween Horror series for the month of October, of course. So stay tuned for that, as well as some other fun things that I have coming up, horror content on my channel. So don't miss hitting the subscribe button down below. But yeah, thank you for watching the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror video review. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay scared. Bye.